Interest rates are set to rise this week as the market is likely to drop. In this video, I will give you a price prediction for the SPY, Tesla, Google, Meta, Apple, DraftKings, Affirm, Upstart, C3AI, Virgin Galactic, Carvana, Mara, and Riot. So going to give a price prediction for each of those stocks for the upcoming week. And I'll also go over the upcoming news for this week. So obviously we get CPI on Tuesday. On Tuesday, we get CPI at 8:30, and the expectation is for a 0.3 rise in CPI. The previous number was 0.3 as well, so not much of a change is projected there for CPI, but the CPI year-over-year number is projected to drop to 3.3, and it was 3.7 last go-around. And then for Wednesday's PPI number, so we have another inflation number here on core PPI. For those that don't know, that's the producer's price index. It's basically like a leading indicator of inflation. It tells you what inflation is on the producer level. So this is kind of, like I said, a leading indicator. This tells you what future inflation reads will likely be. So the last number was 0.2, or excuse me, the last number was 0.1. Sorry, expectations are for 0.1. The last number was 0.5. So projecting a pretty big drop in PPI. I don't necessarily think that happens, but we'll see how it plays out. But first off, let's go back to interest rates and talk about where the stock market is going for this upcoming week. So interest rates have bottomed at this 4.5 level earlier this week and even last week on Friday. So we bottomed twice at this level. This is also where interest rates had bottomed on October 12th. So I think this 4.5 level, 4.5% for interest rates likely acts as a bottom, and we see a larger move higher for interest rates over this coming week. Obviously, a textbook relationship is if interest rates are down, stocks are up, and obviously you flip that around as well. If interest rates are up, stocks are down. So the fact that interest rates are likely to rise gives me some confidence in saying that the stock market is likely to drop this upcoming week. So with that being said, let's take a look at the S&P 500 and give a price prediction for this index. So we take a look, the S&P 500 topped out at around 437 in the past. Unfortunately, we broke through that level in Friday's trading session, and now we are above all daily moving averages. Only thing is we are close to overbought. We have an RSI of about 62. 70 is overbought, so we're getting there. And I think really this jump that we've seen over the past 2 weeks is a bit overdone. So we're talking about a 7% gain in 10 trading days. So in 2 weeks, we've gone up 7%. I think that's too fast, too quick. It's not saying that the stock market will have a horrible end of the year or anything, just saying that for this specific week, I think interest rates likely continue to climb and push equity prices lower. And I think this 7% gain over the past 2 weeks likely gives back some of those gains in this upcoming week. So I think we probably fall back below this 100-day moving average, and we come down to support at around 431 for the SPY over the course of the week. And then with that being said, let's take a look at Tesla. So Tesla's obviously been a stock that's been hurt a bit recently. We had that bearish earnings report come in, so that's just somewhat of a headwind for this stock. But we moved below the 200-day moving average on Thursday's trading session, and we weren't able to reclaim that moving average. Therefore, I believe we could see another move lower down to support at around $203, which is where the stock had roughly bottomed in October. It's also where the stock roughly bottomed in August. And it's where we've seen some consolidation over the past couple of years. Therefore, this $200 level, $203 level, that range is probably going to be a level of support for this stock. So going to think that Tesla likely falls down to that level for this upcoming week. And then let's talk about Google here. So Google is coming off to test the 50-day moving average. which is where shares had topped out in Friday's trading session and in Thursday's trading session. I believe we likely see this moving average get rejected once again, and we see a move down to support at around 129. So I picked this 129 level just because this is where it's also where shares had topped out in June. Therefore, I believe we see another move lower down to this crucial level at around 129. So thinking we get a 129 price for Google some point this week. Let's talk about Meta here. So Meta moved above resistance at around 325, but it unfortunately looks like we'll still reject this rough resistance level, as this is where shares had topped out in October on the 12th. So on the 12th, we topped out around this level. I think we likely top out around this level once again here. So like I said, this is exactly where shares had topped out on the 12th and 11th of October. And we're basically coming up right to this level. Therefore, I believe we see somewhat of a rejection from Meta this week, and we get a move down to the 50-day moving average at around $308 for this stock. And then let's take a look at Apple here. So Apple moved above its 100-day moving average for the first time since September 6th. And we're actually above all daily moving averages, which is obviously a positive for this stock. Unfortunately, though, we're actually oversold, or excuse me, overbought, according to RSI, which should lend some downside pressure to this stock. And we probably see a move back lower to the 100-day moving average at around $181, which is where shares had bottomed in Wednesday and Thursday's trading session. So I believe we see another move down to that support level at around $181 for this stock. So thinking once again, we get a move lower for Apple. And then DraftKings is a really good looking chart. So for DraftKings here, we're above all daily moving averages, and we just saw a move above a major resistance level at around $34. This $34.70 level is where shares had topped out in August, and it's where we actually confirmed support 3 separate days in last week's trading session. Past resistance acts as new support. Therefore, I believe this level will act as support once again for DraftKings around 34.70. And then with that being said, let's take a look at AFRM here. So AFRM is a stock that has been moving higher off of support. I believe we see a move lower down to support over this coming week, though. I think we probably move back lower to about $20 for the stock, which is where the stock has bottomed out on Wednesday's trading session on the 8th. It's also where we bottomed out in September. It's where we topped out in August and in June. Past resistance acts as new support. I believe we see this $20 level act as support, and we get a move lower for this stock over the coming week. And then let's take a look at Upstart here. So Upstart reported worse than expected earnings, and we saw a pretty big drop over this past week. Unfortunately, we're below all daily moving averages. We just saw the 50-day moving average cross below the 200-day moving average, which is known as a death cross and implies bearish momentum. I believe we see this bearish momentum signal continue to push the stock lower, and we could get a larger move lower this week to about $14. Probably won't be exactly 14 in this week, but the next major level of support is this next $14 level. So I believe over the next couple of weeks, we'll see a move down to 14, barring any massive changes in the stock. For this week, momentum is bearish. We're underperforming the broader market. We see a larger move lower for Upstart. And then when we take a look at C3AI, so C3AI crossed above its 100-day moving average for the first time since August, but unfortunately we closed below that level in Friday's trading session. Not exactly below that level, but we had kind of flirted with doing so. I believe we dropped below this 50-day moving average, and we see a move down to support at around $23.60, which is where the stock had consistently bottomed out in November, in October, and in September. So this is a major level of support for the stock. I think we probably come down to this $24 level for C3AI. And then let's talk about Virgin Galactic here. So Virgin Galactic is coming down to test support at around $1.80, which is where the stock had topped out in October. It's where the stock had topped out in late September. It's also where the stock had saw some consolidation in November. Therefore, I believe we see this past resistance level act as new support. And we see this level hold on the backs of the 50-day moving average, which currently lies around $1.80. So I think we hold this crucial daily moving average, we hold this support level, and we see a move higher over the coming days for this stock. And then for Carvana here, Carvana just moved below a major resistance level, or excuse me, a major support level at around $30. And we probably see a move lower to the 200-day moving average at around $25, which is where the stock had bottomed on November 1st before earnings hit, and we saw that kind of a nice chunk move higher. So thinking that we see this underperforming stock continue to underperform and move down to the 200-day moving average over this coming week. And then for Mara here, so I'm very bullish on crypto. I think the general setup for crypto is a really bullish one. Bitcoin looks amazing on the chart. But for Mara here, we're flirting with breaking this resistance level at around $9.50. This is where we saw consistent consolidation in the past, in the spring, May, March, April. We saw a lot of consolidation around that level. I believe we likely break this level this week, and we fall below the 50-day moving average and move lower to about $8 for this stock. So can't say I'm very bullish on Mara or Riot just from a technical standpoint. Long term, I like these stocks as I have covered on this channel. And then Riot fell below support at around $10.50, which is where we saw the stock bottom in the spring. It's also where we saw the stock bottom in August and in September. It's where we saw the stock top out even in October and in really just October. We saw 3 separate trading days where the stock had topped out at this level. Past resistance should act as resistance once again. We closed below this level on Friday's trading session. I believe we see another move lower for Riot over the coming trading days. And the next major level of support is at around $8.90, which is where we saw shares consolidate in October. Therefore, I believe we see a move down to $8.90 for the stock over the coming weeks. So, covered a lot in today's video. Obviously, I don't get any pleasure out of calling a drop in the stock market. It's just my humble opinion. It's what the kind of the charts are implying. So, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you here next time.